Hello everyone, this is Jen Leonard, one of Altenew's educators, and I'm so excited to be sharing in this video hop featuring the newest release of their stamps, dies, stencils, and more. So let's get started. This is a terrific release full of wonderful products, so please stop by each of the crafters' video hops, subscribe to their channel if you have not done so already, and leave us some crafty love in your comments. I think you are going to be really pleased with all that you have to see. So the card that I'm going to be featuring today focuses on our Tropical Getaway collection, which includes your 3D embossing folder of wildflowers, comes with the Whimsically Wild matching die set, comes with the Wildflowers stencil set that complements the 3D embossing folder. And then we have the Wildflowers die set. And finishing off, we have the Sweet Expressions die set for the perfect sentiment. And I'm going to finish off the card pulling in just the flowing leaves from the Touch of Flowing Art collection. So primarily we're going to be working on the Tropical Getaway, and I think you are just going to fall in love with this immediately. And I wanted to focus on these two die sets because you're probably thinking, well, what makes them so different? So how this set will work is once you take your 3D embossing folder and you run it through your machine, of course you're going to come out with the die cut image. This is the raised part. Once you get your matching, these images correspond with the matching dies. So then you can take the die set that comes right from the matching set and making sure, of course, you have the right one, line it up exactly onto your embossed image. And what you get is this really cute design. All right, so that will work for all of the flowers. So for example, on this one here, well, that is this flower here. I just took the die cut and I made a match for it with my die cut that came in the set. But to take it a step further, the Whimsically Wild die set, when you use that, well, that gives you an outline. So it's not the solid die, it's actually the outline of the matching flower, which really boosts this set because you can use it in so many ways. So if you take your solid image and you place the outline right on top, how adorable is that to make a really cute card? So we're going to be playing with these sets today, and I am pulling in just the flowing leaves die from the other part of the release to combine one card. Okay, so now I have run my paper, and this is actually spicy yogurt cardstock from Altenew. I have run it through my machine with the embossing folder. I am using my Altenew stamp wheel mat, which is ultra sticky and will allow for wonderful stenciling. I then take stencil 1, and when you match it up and align it with the images on the where the embossing folder left the images, voila, it is beautifully and perfectly aligned. I'm just going to put this down, kind of tack it down so my card stays in place. And I'm going to be using some of the newer colors, Coral Red, Terracotta, and Chamomile. And let's do some blending. I'm going in first with the Chamomile. And what I like to do is get this nice and saturated. I like to tap off the extra ink right into my lid and then start on the stencil and make my way on to the paper. This way I know I'm getting a smooth bit of ink, and I'm not going to have any harsh lines. And I'm going to go around with each of the images with the same technique. Tap off and blend out. I'm not even putting much thought into this, and I'm going over the entire flower because I know that once I begin adding the second layers, all of these colors are very complementary and will start blending together. So my purpose in this is to just get a base coat down. Now that I have finished with the chamomile, and you will see a little bit of darkening, that's because the blending brush I used always seems to have a little bit of residual ink because I've been using these colors over and over, but I'm okay with that because that's just makes each of my cards, you know, very unique and very different. So once again, now this is the terracotta. I'm tapping off, getting this nice and wet. Now, little gentler. You want to be very gentle when you're doing this because you don't want to have like a harsh like burst of another color. You want this to blend in. So with a gentle hand, just go around and work your way up. Blend in those colors. Really make your own color combination with this. Okay, if you want the edges light, then don't go so far out. If you want to have a dark center, then focus on the center. But what I'm trying to teach you is just don't rush, you know, tap off gently. Do you see how that's just gradually catching into those lines? I'm really using a gentle hand. All right, but the results are just so pretty. I don't know if you can see that in person, but the results are beautiful. I'm still using the same brush, guys. No reason to, it's all the same color family and it works. Okay, this is the darkest color, so we need to be really careful, all right? Really careful. We don't want to overshadow all of the work we've just done. I'm just kind of blending it out. Blending, blending, blending. So when you look at the previous panel I made, they are the same colors, but I had different concentrations and maybe used a little bit more chamomile or maybe a mid-yellow versus the coral red and terracotta. So this is your own creation and do what you like to do. And each time, as you know, it's going to be a different card in a different color. And that's the beauty of a homemade craft. So once I was finished, this is what layer 1 looks like. It definitely has more yellow and terracotta, not as much red. If you wanted to add that back in, you certainly can. So now we're going to go on to, where is my stencil at? Here we are. This is stencil 3, which means this is stencil 2. And now we are going to line up our leaves, which once again, just one placement. And that is going to match up beautifully right down the center of our leaves. And it also gets the stems. So very, very simple. For my leaves, I'm going to get a little bit of one of the other newer colors called olive ink. And I'm going to do, again, some more shading where I'm going in darker at the bottom and blending it out at the top. I was feeling a little adventurous and thought, let's take out the pool ink because as one of the other newer Altenew colors, this is a fan favorite and blues and greens are very complementary. And I thought, well, let's have some fun and add a little bit of pool ink to the olive. And what it came is a very pretty bluish green for my leaves. Stencil number 3 is just as easy as 1 and 2, and this one focuses on the center of the flowers along with a few little dots along each flower. This just pops right on, and this time I'm using coral red and going in heavy-handed for full concentration. And the grand finale, I added again some pool and some olive ink to put the finishing touches on the leaves. All right, so here I am ready. I'm going to start die cutting this out. Okay, now I have my pieces all cut out for the card. I have my piece cut out on the flowing leaves die. And you know what, guys? It's okay if you don't have the money for the dies, or, you know, we know we're all on a crafty budget. Just get the embossing folder, because this alone with your inks will create another beautiful card, which I will also show you. So for the simple version, once I cut this down to an A2 card size, I took the Sweet Expressions die set, cut out Love You twice so it had some depth, and put the backing on my favorite color, navy. And I will adhere this down, right? For an extra pop of dimension, I just put a little bit of 3D embossing foam. So remember how I was saying that the beauty of this set is that it comes with the two die sets. So now I'm doing the Whimsically Wild die set, which is just the outline. And I'm taking these two biggest flowers. God, they remind me of, like, you know, the little groovy 60s. And I'm going to pop these out. And what you're going to see is an outline kind of like that. You see? When it's all said and done, if I can find it on my absolute mess right here, it's right in front of my face. It's going to have a look like this. So let me go get these cut out and assembled. So little tip when using this die, this is very delicate. So my suggestion is, if you want to, use a shim to get that extra pressure, depending on the machine that you use. So my cut didn't come out perfectly, so I had to run it through again, which did leave me with a little bit of a breakage here. Okay, so I went back through and I added a shim to the die cut, and what a difference. So I want to get all of these glued down. I'm not going to waste your time on that. I will be right back. If you're like me, you go through all the effort of creating all the beautiful images, and then you go, well, now what do I do? How am I going to assemble this? So when I have some larger images, I tend to just go to my good old throwback, which is sort of a diagonal from the upper left to the bottom right. And I pop some leaves around the corner, and I put a sentiment right in the middle. And that is sort of my go-to recipe. What you are not seeing is I did add another leaf that you'll see at the end. But anyway, I want it to have a really popping color of coral red as my sentiment, which is going to say thanks. So I took some double adhesive and cut a piece out, and then I'm going to back my homemade color cardstock on to the backing, and then with the die cut of thanks, run it through the embossing machine, and then it will be added to the card. The coral red was still not as deep as I wanted it to be color-wise, so I put it back into the die cut, and this time went a little bit more direct ink. So I took another swipe of some ink, and I still wasn't happy, so I'm like, you know what? This bad boy, this ink pad is going right on the thanks, because I'm not messing around. I want this to pop right off of the card. And finally, card number 3, where I'm finally using the Flowing Leaves die set. So for the base of this card, I took some chamomile ink and did some shading around the center of the card using a stencil. Had some more leftovers of all of the flowers that I had cut out, and made another card just really simple, adding 2 little flowers in the middle as if they're attached to a vine. And then monkey see, monkey do, I'm going back in headstrong, this time with the evergreen ink, making my own colored cardstock, and really repeating what I just did with the coral red. and then attaching it to the card. So I told you that this release is amazing. With just a couple of products, you can make all of these cards, and I am in love with them. They are so pretty. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would love if you would subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to give all the other educators a thumbs up too. We thank you for stopping by.